This is one of my favorite mauls. It's an 8-pound maul. You can work with it all day long. It's not too heavy. If you go with a big old 12-pound maul, it's good for those occasional big tough ones, but if you work it too long, it just wears you out. One thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that I use a wooden handle. Some of these mauls, like this big 12-pounder, have these plastic, I don't know, I guess it's some kind of fiberglass handle. I hate those things. They don't feel right in your hand. One of the very first things I do when I get a new tool handle, or make a tool handle, is get rid of that lacquer. For some reason, tools are sold with this pretty lacquer finish. It just does not work well on your hands. A tool handle is meant to be maintained. Every time you get a little nick in it or a little sliver, you want to be able to sand it off. So if you're starting with a surface that's got a lacquer covering on it, that makes it difficult. So first thing I do, I've got a little orbital sander, I clean it all off. I don't go too fine, I go to about 120 grit, and that's fine. Then I put a coat of wax on there, and that's all you need to do. But every time you get a little nick or a little ding or a little problem in that handle, you want to keep it clean. Now when you're swinging a maul, that has got to flow nicely through your hand. It's got to slide nicely in your hand. You don't wear gloves when you split wood. Well, I don't wear gloves. I got tough hands, but most guys that do this kind of work, they wouldn't think of wearing gloves. It's about, the way it slides through your hands. Now when you pick a tool handle, make sure you get nice straight grain. You don't want any cross-out grain. Amazingly, when I go to the store to buy a new handle, I go through all the handles and I might find 1 or 2 handles that I'd buy. The rest of them are crap. If you don't get the handle just right, it's going to fracture, it's going to crack on you, and it's not going to flex when you have the impact. So these are all very important things to take into consideration. Now there's a lot of tools. All the old good tools had wooden handles. This one, you can see I sanded it down. It fits nicely in my hands. This is a double bit felling axe. The reason for the 2 bits is if you're working this thing all day long, making these chops, when this bit gets dull, you don't want to lose your momentum. You want to just switch it and then switch up to a good sharp edge. This is only for felling. You wouldn't use this for chopping wood. I guess you can cut kindling and stuff with it. A little dangerous. But a double-sided axe has got one purpose. It's a felling axe. Not too many people fell with an axe anymore. Try it sometime. It's good fun. Now you got your conventional axe. This axe you can use for a lot of other things. It's got a little bit more of a taper to it than the felling axe. Felling axe is very narrow. This one's a little bit wider. This is actually a really old axe. It's been sharpened down quite a few times. And this was a bent over laminated steel. It's got 2 rivets right in through here. This is a very rare axe. This is well over 100 years old. And you can see it was hammer welded back on this side, put back together. You don't find axes like this too much anymore. You can see the shape of the handle. It's got a little bit different type of a shape to it. Different than the felling axe. See, the felling axe is nice and straight. The purpose of that is because you switch it up. A conventional axe has got more of a fawn's foot. Now back in the old days, the farmers and the ranchers that use these things all day long, or the loggers, everybody had their own design. And it's been told that you could identify a man's axe by recognizing the design. They say, oh, that's Farmer Brown's axe, and you'd know it by the individual design. Every farmer had their own shaving horse. They'd make their own tool handles. You didn't buy tools with handles on them. You'd buy the head, and you fit your own handle to your own size and shape and feel. Now this has got a good feel to it. I really like the shape of this axe. I use this axe for cutting roots, for cutting out stumps, for cutting stuff, so I have to sharpen it a lot. I got to keep working on it. You got to be careful you don't hit any rocks or anything hard, because the steel will fracture. But that little bit of a fawn's foot at the end here kind of keeps it from popping out of your hands, and it's a very comfortable feel to it. Actually, it needs another sanding. It's starting to feel just a little bit rough. Little sanding. You don't want any little nicks on there. If this thing flows through your hand nicely when you're working, you know, it's got to slide, because that slide is part of the action of the usage of this tool. Let's go back to this piece of plastic. Well, this thing's been loaned out a bunch of times. It's all beat up. It's cracked. I'm gonna have to get this out of there. I'm gonna replace this with a wooden handle, of course. There's another tool with a wooden handle that's pretty important. This is called an adze. This is used for flattening the top of a log, always with your legs apart. Got some neighbors down there shooting off their guns. So anyway, the wooden handle, very, very important. The shape is very important, but the most important thing I can say about it is the way that it feels in your hands. You can work all day long with a comfortable wooden tool, but if it's got little nicks or burrs or, God help you, slivers, you're going to be in trouble.